All right, good morning. Welcome back to trigonometry. There is no problem number 11. So we are going to skip right on and do problem number 12. So we're looking at guy wires. Okay, there's a whole little bit of a history behind that. The first one we know is 14 meters long, has an angle of 39 degrees. The second one has an inclination of 46 degrees. And they want to know how tall the flagpole is to the nearest meter. Okay, so we're looking at this kind of a problem here. All right, so let's see if we can't figure out what's going on here. So let's go ahead and draw a picture because that's always the first thing to do is to draw a picture. So let's say I've got my little guy right here. Okay, so we're going to draw a picture of what we have. All right, let me go ahead and turn on, there we go, pen. Okay, so we're going to have our first one here. Now, I don't know how far away this thing is. It never tells us that. All right, but we do know, okay, that was 39 degrees. So we can go ahead and label this guy down here. Okay, and then we have another one, and then we know that this whole angle here, right? And we said that was going to be 46 degrees. All right. So what we have to do is I really like to know how tall this whole thing is. Okay, they don't ask us about this little part here. They want to know the whole thing. Okay. So the 46 degrees is going to be really important to do that. And to do that, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to need an opposite. Maybe an adjacent side would be helpful. Okay. Or maybe this hypotenuse here with this guy wire right here. We don't know this. So since we kind of need to know the adjacent, let's look at the little triangle and see if we can't fix out the adjacent side from this one. So what I need is we have a hypotenuse because this is a right angle. Okay. We need something that is going to align the hypotenuse, the adjacent side, with the angle. Okay. And I'm going to say, well, I think cosine is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Okay. I know the hypotenuse. I want to know the adjacent side. So this is going to be the hypotenuse times cosine of my 39 degrees here. Okay. So that's going to be 14 times cosine of 39 degrees. And that'll give you my adjacent side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to pause you for just a second so I can bring out my calculator. Okay, let's pause you. Ta-da, calculator. All right, there we go. Got that going on. So let's go back to my little thing here. So we've got 14 times the cosine of 39 degrees. So we can go ahead and check that out. I'm going to double make sure that our mode is actually in degrees because that's what we've got here. And we'll go ahead and switch that. Okay, so we know we're in degrees. So let's go ahead and quit out of this. Okay, quit. We have 14 times the cosine of 39 degrees, right? And that's going to give us 10.88. Okay, so we have the adjacent side 10.88. Actually, I'm going to follow the same rules I set down for you guys. 10.8800 because we said go to four decimal places in your intermediate calculations. Okay, so that's my adjacent side. Now that I know my adjacent side here, we can figure out, well, I know that we have this angle. I know we have an adjacent side, and I'd like this opposite side here. So now I need a trigonometric function that aligns the opposite side, the adjacent side, and the angle. That's tangent. So we're going to say that the tangent of 46 degrees is equal to h over, here is my 10.8800. And I will just go ahead and solve for h, and that'll just be 10.8800 times tangent. You don't need to write the zero zeros. 46 degrees, and we'll say that's going to be my h. All right, so let's go ahead and we can do that, and we'll bring back up the calculator, and we'll say, okay, we're just going to leave the 10.88 sitting in there. So times tangent of 46 degrees. I'm still in degree mode, so we're okay with that. And then that's going to be my height, and we end up with 11.2666. We're going to say 11 point. I'm going to say that since we only had single digits degrees here, I think one decimal place is probably the proper way to go with this because we were given 14, 46. There's no decimals in any of these. So going one decimal more than we are given is probably the way to go. So we'll say that's 11.3 meters. So my H is 11.3 meters. H equals 11.3 meters, and that is going to be my answer. We'll box that out. Okay. So that is pretty much how you do that one. I'm going to go ahead and say I think that's good for now, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.